Hey there everybody, thanks so much for tuning into 3B TV. I'm Brian, this is 3B Farm and Homestead here in beautiful upstate New York. And on this episode, I want to talk to you about homesteading resources. Things that you can use to help develop your knowledge and your skill set to become more successful in your homesteading lifestyle. Most people that are getting into homesteading, I think it would be fair to say, are coming into it really without a huge skill set with regards to the homesteading lifestyle. Many people have not grown up in more of an agricultural area. They're coming from suburbia or they're coming from urban areas, and they lack an understanding of the skills needed to be successful on a homestead. You're not alone in that. And in fact, even those of us, like I shared in one of our first videos, that have come more from a homesteading style family, still have a lack of the skills and the understanding that we need to be successful as homesteaders. And so the question then is, how do we develop those skills? How do we acquire that knowledge that in the past was passed on from generation to generation? But if you haven't grown up around canning, if you haven't grown up around gardening, if you haven't grown up around raising chickens or raising pigs, you're not going to have that skill set. And even if you did grow up around those things, there's probably a lot of things that you might want to learn to better your understanding and to further your skills in those areas. And so how can we do that? Well, I think we're living in an awesome time, an age where we have so many great resources at our fingertips. And so in this episode, I wanted to share with you some of the resources that I found to be very helpful as I've really been trying to work towards being a better homesteader and to be more effective, to be more efficient in living the homestead lifestyle. But before I do, I just want to also start by saying that not all resources are created equally. I remember as a kid, my grandfather used to say to me, Brian, no paper ever refused ink. And he's true. Just because you read a book on it, or just because you read a blog post on it, or just because you watch a YouTube video on it, doesn't necessarily make it true or make it so. I've seen so much bad information, in particular with regards to raising poultry. As I've been a part of some of the Facebook groups and some of the forums. And not that I claim to be an expert in poultry by any stretch of the imagination, but I've just seen some stuff that just made me shake my head. And it's not that I'm trying to pick on anybody, but you just really have to make sure that you evaluate the resources and kind of try to find some kind of consensus or some kind of balance within the area that you're studying. I really appreciated one of the things that I was watching a video on Off the Grid with Doug and Stacy, and they were talking in particular about the method of raising animals in cold weather, and I'll try to link to that below so that you can go watch it. But one of the things, it was a great video. At the end of it though, Doug simply said, and I believe it was that video, Doug simply said, don't take my word for it. Check it out, research it, see what you find. And so I would just really caution you as we go through these resources. I'm going to try to go from probably the most reliable to the least reliable. But again, all of this, you need to really balance it out. So the first resource that I have found to be so helpful to me have been books, and in particular, things that I've been able to get through my local library. It's blown me away, the breadth of resources available through my library. Now, we are very blessed because we live in an area where our library is part of a great system. So if my local branch doesn't necessarily have a book, they can get it from another town, from another location. And so I have so many resources available to me. I go on the website, I request a book, and if it's not at our local branch, they'll have it shipped in. And so I've really been going through so many great books. Books by Joel Salatin, for example, which I know a lot of people have read his books. Holy Cows and Hog Heaven was one that I really enjoyed. Pasture Poultry Profits was another one. I've got a few more to work through here. I've sent those 2 books back. The Sheer Ecstasy of a Lunatic Farmer. Here's another one, You Can Farm. So he's a really great, a really entertaining author, and a lot of good stuff that I've been gleaning from his books. Another one that I found very helpful was this one here, The Weekend Homesteader by Anna Hess. This is the one I'm thinking actually about buying. I really found some really great stuff in that one. Another one that I worked through and really found to be very helpful was this one here, The Independent Farmstead by Sean and Beth Doherty, I think is how you say their name. But that was a really interesting book, very well written, and I've really enjoyed it. Another one that I'm just absolutely loving, and this is, you know, I've been raising chickens for a lot of years, but I've gleaned so much great stuff from here. Small Scale Poultry Flock. One of the things that you'll find as well is there's not just one way to skin a cat. Okay, maybe that's a bad way to say it, but there's not just one way to raise chickens. You know, as you go through and you read these books, you can glean something different from each person. And Harvey Ussery, I think is how you say his name, he has a little bit of a different approach to raising chickens than Joel Salatin does. And so it's great to read a couple of different resources just to try to get some semblance of maybe balance, or to get a wealth of ideas. Another one I haven't gotten to yet, but I'm looking forward to going through, is this one here, the Encyclopedia of Country Living. This is one I just started, Gaia's Garden, and I haven't got too far into that, but enjoying that. Another book that I have that I didn't bring over here, this is one that I actually own, is Back to Basics, which is a book from I think the 70s by Reader's Digest. I remember reading it as a kid. There's a lot of great information in it that would apply to homesteading. Another book that I read and really found informative and enjoyable is one called The Bad Food Bible. How and why to eat sinfully. Now you think, well, what in the world does that have to do with homesteading? Well, Aaron Carroll, the author of that, he's actually a doctor, and he really challenged my thoughts and my thinking with regards to organic and GMO food and feed for your animals. And so I really would highly recommend that you read that book, if nothing else, to really get a feel for somebody who is coming from a medical background, somebody who is coming from a scientific approach, and not necessarily an emotional approach, which I happen to see a lot of with regards to organic and GMO kind of things. So that really challenged some of my notions, my thoughts, and I've really been chewing over that a lot. So books, your local library, you don't have to buy these. You can borrow them, or you know, check out is it abebooks.com, I think, which is a used online used book reseller that features a lot of people. eBay, obviously Amazon, if you want to buy those. But start with your local library. I think you'll be glad that you did. The next thing I wanted to talk to you about were magazines. I have found Grit Magazine and Mother Earth News in particular to be such a valuable resource to me. And I've gotten so many great ideas just by reading those magazines. My mom subscribed me to those as a Christmas gift, and I have just really enjoyed them. Now there's a bunch of other ones out there, hobby farms I've gotten in the past. I think is it Capper's Farmer or something like that, that you might want to check out. But those are a great, if people are asking you, what can I get you as a gift? Ask for a gift to Mother Earth News. I think you will find it to be an extremely invaluable resource. In fact, this Christmas kind of came and went. My mom hadn't mentioned to me that she had resubscribed me to these magazines, and so I was gonna just go ahead and subscribe myself. And then a couple of weeks ago, she said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, I re-upped your subscription to Grit into Mother Earth News." And I was like, yes! Woo! So excited. But those are really, really great resources. Check them out. The next thing that I'm so excited to tell you about, this is a resource that I just found out about within the last week, and just excited about this one. A friend of mine, Rob, sent me a message on Facebook the other day, and he sent me a picture of this right here. Now, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it is the beginning sausage making class. And I was so totally stoked. I said, "Where did you find that?" Our local community college has continuing education classes, and they have classes on things like wild edibles of spring, cooking classes, beginning sausage making, cooking with lavender, distill your own lavender essential oils, beekeeping basics, apple orchard pruning and maintenance, apple tree grafting, home composting, and a whole course with regards to logging, so how to sustainably manage a woodlot. That's awesome stuff that I didn't even know was available to me through my local community college. And these classes, they don't cost a whole lot. Like the sausage making one's $50. The home composting one is $15. Relatively cheap money for me to be able to build on or expand my homesteading skill set. So look for your local community college, see if they offer something like that, and it would be a great way for you to expand your homesteading skill set. Another thing, Mother Earth News Fair. Now, I haven't been to one yet, and if you have, I'd love to hear your experience. Comment below. Heard a lot of great things about them, and so it's something that I definitely want to take a part of. But that's not the only style of gathering like that. In fact, I just found out about one this week that's going to be held the next town over next weekend. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it, but I contacted them and said, "Hey, please send me the brochure for next year so that I can plan to go." But it's the Northeast Organic Farming Association of New York, so it's NAFA-NY, and they have a weekend conference where they do presentations on growing vegetables, preserving your harvest, and just so many different things. How to start a farm, how to fund a farm, tax laws, just so many different things that would be invaluable for a homesteader like myself. And so excited about that resource being available. Another resource that I have available in my area that I'm looking forward to availing myself of is Better Bee. Better Bee is a very large beekeeping company, and they sell bees, they sell bee supplies, but they also teach classes on beekeeping. In fact, a friend of mine works there, and it's available to me right here in my own town. So excited about that. And so keep an eye out for things like that. Look in your library. Maybe on the bulletin board in your library, there are classes that are going to be given, talks that are going to be given, that are going to help you build your knowledge network and help you connect with other people that are living the homestead lifestyle, and help you also gain some of those skills and experiences. Another thing that I found very helpful are some of the online forums. Now, this is one of those where I caution you that not every resource is created equally, and just because somebody posts it on an online forum doesn't necessarily make it so. I have seen a whole lot of bad advice given in both the Facebook groups and in the forums that I've been a part of, but I've also seen a lot of good advice given, and I've tried to give a lot of good advice. So there are forums like permies.com, backyardchickens.com, and I'm sure many other areas of that I'm not even aware of. But look for some of those forums that you can get involved in and start asking some questions and start learning from other people's experiences. I mentioned Facebook groups. I've really enjoyed being a part of HONE, which is Homesteaders of New England. Now, in one of my videos, I referred to them as Homesteaders of the Northeast. That's not it. It's Homesteaders of New England. A great group to be a part of, but I'm also a member of a number of other homesteading groups. Homesteading, I think, it's what it's called. Homesteaders of New York, Homesteaders of upstate New York, just a number of great groups, and really enjoying being a part of that. I'm also a member of a number of groups with regards to American guinea hogs, and so I've been learning through those groups. Backyard Meat Rabbits is another group that I'm a part of on Facebook. So just look for those groups. There's another one that I'm a member of that I think is the Rebel Canning Group or something like that. So just start looking for those groups on Facebook and become a part of those communities. You may find some of them to be helpful. You may find some of them not to be helpful. And the beauty of it is, if you get involved in a group and it's not exactly what you're wanting, you can unfollow it, you can unsubscribe. But check those out. Those can be a wealth of knowledge. Again, keeping in mind that no paper has ever refused ink, and so some of the advice may not always be good advice, but by and large, I found those to be very, very helpful. Finally, YouTube is a great resource, and I'm hoping that I'm being in the future I'll be considered one of the great resources on YouTube. I'm trying to share the knowledge that I've gathered over the last few years and share with you the experiences that we're going through on our farm, both good and bad, things that we doing right, things that we're doing wrong. So you can learn from the things we do right, you can learn from the things we do wrong. But I found a number of great YouTube channels that I just kind of wanted to highlight. I'll link them below. Cog Hill Farm, Jason Smith, Homesteading, Grass-Fed Homestead, White House on the Hill, Lumna Acres, Justin Rhodes, Off Grid with Doug and Stacy are some of the ones that I have really been enjoying lately, and so I would recommend you check those out. This obviously is not a comprehensive list of resources, but these are some of the things that lately I have really been availing myself of, and they've been resources that have just really been feeding that passion and really, I feel like, helping me develop the tool set that I need to be more successful in my farming or my homesteading lifestyle. One other thing I wanted to mention as well, and this is just a resource that I just ran across in the last couple of days, and so it didn't even make it into my notes for this episode yet, but I watched a movie and I've really been digesting it. But there's a film online, it's called Back to Eden Garden, and I will link below to the film itself. But really interesting perspective with regards to gardening, and it's a technique that I think I'm going to try. It's similar to a technique that I actually had learned about in the Weekend Homesteader. And it's a style of gardening. I'm trying to remember what she called it. What did she call it? The no-till garden method, I believe, is what she called it in here. And this Back to Eden garden style is one that I think I'm going to give it a try. It's very intriguing to me, and so I will link to that film below. But always be learning. ABL is kind of going to be our motto here in 2018. You are able. Always be learning. ABL, and just take it in, soak it in, And don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to try stuff. Everything you try is not going to be successful, and that's okay. You can learn as much from your failures, and sometimes you can learn more from your failures than you do from your successes. But I also caution you, sometimes the best way to learn is not from your mistakes, but it's from other people's mistakes. And so by learning and reading these books, these resources, sometimes that's what it is. It's as much about learning what they did wrong so that you don't replicate those mistakes as it is about learning what they did right. So hopefully you found this helpful. Hopefully these resources are ones that you'll be able to use to grow your skill set. And if I've missed anything, if there's anything that you think would be helpful, comment below, let me know. I'm always open. I'm looking for great resources with regards to the homesteading skill set and just philosophy, and just trying to expand kind of my understanding so that I can be more successful, that we can be more successful as a family, and we can share our knowledge with other people and become one of those great resources that I've talked about. And so until next time, be able, always be learning. Thanks for tuning in. This is Brian again, 3B TV, 3B Farm and Homestead in beautiful upstate New York. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you later.